Let's talk to the Miami Hurricanes quarterback of the future, shall we?
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I am Alex Dono, University of Miami alumnus, longtime South Florida sports radio vet, and contributor to allhurricanes.com. And thank you so much to the everydayers who make Locked On Canes your first listen each and every day. You know, we've been excited to bring this man on. 2024 commit quarterback, big-time quarterback out of Jones County in Gray, Georgia, 6'6" and growing. Judd Anderson is with us. Judd, welcome to the U. And how are you doing, sir?
Yes, sir. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be given the opportunity by all those coaches. It's definitely awesome.
Yeah, man. And we've all enjoyed, our viewers and listeners have enjoyed watching your film and also watching you on social media. We'll talk a little bit about that in a second. But first things first, when you offered your verbal commitment to Miami, what was it about Miami? Why did you pick the U?
I think it was just a lot. I mean, overall, it was a lot of things. We kind of had to get down there and see the school and everything, but I already kind of had it in the back of my head. I was like, okay, like this kind of feels like home for me, just the way I talked to Cristobal, I talked to Dawson, basically the whole staff. I mean, you just get it from up and down. I mean, it just feels like there's a connection there. And when I got down there, I mean, I fell in love with the place, and it's kind of how I want all these other recruits to feel. I feel like so.
Oh no, no doubt about that. And as far as the football fit goes, because I know there's so many things that come into this decision, right? From the campus, the people, like the actual human beings recruiting you, but then there's also the scheme. What can you tell us your impressions on Miami's offensive coordinator Shannon Dawson and how you could see yourself in his offense?
Yeah, he's an awesome guy, first of all. I mean, just when you sit down and talk with him, I mean, he's one of the best offensive coordinators in the country, and there's no doubt about that. And I think he's a great coach. He coaches hard, but he also teaches those quarterbacks. Just sitting in a meeting with him this spring, I mean, it's kind of like you see what he does with Enrollee right now and kind of developing him and just making sure he's on the right track. And also Jakari and Tyler. I mean, Tyler's going to be amazing in that offense this year. And I think he's going to build it around the quarterback that he has, and he's not going to be super like one-sided. Like, we have to run this offense. Like, he's very lenient about like, all right, Tyler, like you're making this decision. Like, you can adjust this at the line, or you can do this. And I think I really like that about him. He lets those guys make their own decisions, and that's what it's all about.
That's cool you brought that up, because Van Dyke has told us the same thing, that you get a little bit more freedom in this offense. So I like to hear that a lot. Now, something when people watch you, Judd, the characteristic that really jumps off the page is your height and your size. I mean, I've seen you listed 6'6", maybe some places creeping at 6'7". How does that? I could see you nod to that. So we probably are in that 6'7" territory by now. Like, how do you feel that height helps you play that position?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can see over the line. I think that's the kind of biggest part. And it's also just kind of gives you that, you're going to stand in the pocket. You can take a hit. You can do these certain things. Like, I mean, I'm not a skinny guy at all. So it's kind of like you're built with muscle, and I've got a big frame. So it helps me out a lot, just being the size I am. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a blessing. So I'm really grateful for it.
And despite being big, you're not a statue, and you're a high-level basketball player as well.
Yes,
does that cross-training, with hoops, does that help you at all in football, athleticism, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely helps my footwork. I mean, I've always used basketball to stay in shape. I mean, it used to be my first sport, and so I kind of focused on it a lot. And then just growing up, I got around football, and I fell in love with it. So I feel like I was always just using basketball to stay in shape, for conditioning, to kind of slim down and make sure I'm not getting too like over the top big, and just kind of keeping my metabolism high and making sure I'm in the right spot and just like with footwork and everything, and just being athletic.
Yeah, we're talking with Judd Anderson, class of 2024, verbal commit with the Miami Hurricanes, going to come in and play quarterback at the U. You know, we talked a little bit about your impressions of Shannon Dawson. What about Mario Cristobal? What's he been like in your experience?
I mean, he's an awesome guy. I mean, you get around Coach Cristobal, and I mean, you just feel the energy that he brings to Miami and just the place. I mean, he was a player here, so he knows the ins and outs, and he knows people here too. So you kind of see some important people here, and you get around just some. Overall, the staff is awesome, and I can't preach that anymore than it has been. I mean, and Coach Cristobal is definitely the main reason for that.
Yeah, I know you've got a lot in your life before 2024. You still have another high school season to go through. You still got to finish up your academics in high school. But do you have any idea at this point if you might be an early enrollee at January next year, or are you playing that by ear still?
So yeah, I plan on early enroll and just kind of skip the basketball season and just go in, play at Miami, and try to get as many reps as I can before the summer starts.
It's going to be a whirlwind, man. But I think the early enrollee thing, if you can swing it, that's it's an advantage, Judd, because I was out there, I was watching, most of Miami's freshmen this year, we're able to enroll early. Some just can't, depending on the high school situation.
Yeah.
But it's just such an advantage to go through all the strength and conditioning and the 5 weeks of practice that you get. It really is a big advantage.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. It's a definitely big thing that I plan on doing. So.
I love to hear that. Now, we mentioned near the top, you are very active on social media, and you've got a very positive personality, and you're out there, talking to other high-level recruits about joining you in Miami. You're talking with the other commits about how much you love Miami. How important is it to you to be that leader and to be that recruiter on Twitter?
Yeah, I mean, so me and Abram were the first commits, so it was kind of like we kind of clicked immediately. And I mean, as soon as I committed, that was kind of the first thing that
it was a pretty lonely group chat with Abram by himself before you hopped in.
Yeah, it was for a second. I mean, and then we got to talking about everything, and he was like, okay, like we're kind of going after these people, and this is kind of the guy I'm going after, and we kind of compare people almost. And not compare, but more of we just say like who are you going after, who am I going after, and so it was definitely fun getting to talk to him. But yeah, I mean, I feel like my positive impact on just Twitter and just like texting guys all the time, and I'm like, yeah, like look, I'm going after this guy, and the Miami coaches preach it all the time. They're like, all right, here's somebody we want to go after. Here's a guy who's thinking about coming here, and we need you to go after him. And so it's kind of cool being looked on as kind of the main, almost like the main recruiter almost, because I'm the first skill commit in the class, and I was a quarterback. So it's like I kind of have that leadership responsibility, I feel like.
No, I think it's great. And, you were telling me off air, you guys have your group chat with those who are already committed, and you're getting friendly with all these guys. What about Chance Robinson? Because I'm looking at the two of you guys, and I'm sure more skill position players and more receivers are going to hop in. But right now, I'm looking at that quarterback wide receiver duo for the future. Are you guys getting close?
Yeah, we are getting close. Me and Chance have a pretty good relationship. So it's definitely special getting to talk to him, getting to talk to a big time receiver like that, and knowing that he's coming to Miami, and knowing I get to throw to him. It's kind of like I've got to feel special almost that I get the opportunity to do that, and it's definitely a blessing that he's gonna decide to come here.
I love whenever I get the stories of how hard high level players like yourself just train to get to that next level. Can you kind of walk us through like a day in the life, like when it's not football season? Because obviously when you're in that, Jones County, you're practicing every day, but in the off season, what does like a week look like for you in training, your throwing and your footwork and all that?
Yeah, it's almost like throwing kind of almost every day. And I mean, I don't try to kill my arm. I take days to rest. I kind of take the weekends to rest, but during the weeks it's pretty high, like regimens of throwing with my guys, throwing with my quarterback coaches, just kind of trying to get as sharp as possible for this upcoming year and before I get to Miami, and just kind of, I mean, being, like I said, as sharp as possible, but also getting faster too. That's my goal, trying to be bigger, faster, stronger, and that's kind of going into my senior year. That's always kind of been the goal for me, is just being as strong as I can be, as fast as I can be, and just being able to be elusive and just play smart.
I love it. Have you given any thought to academics at Miami? Any idea what you want to study or what you want to major in?
Yeah, well, I've always wanted to do like something in sports out of college. So it's like I didn't want to. I was kind of like, oh, if I go pro, like that's cool and that's awesome. But I also want to also be in the sports business. So I kind of want to do sports marketing. So that will definitely be something I plan on doing. And I mean, sports management, anything like that, I'm really interested in.
I love it. Yeah, when I was there, sports administration was one of my minors, and those classes were all awesome. I don't know, I'm a little older than you, so I don't know if all the same. I think at least one of the same professors is there, because I remember people dropping her name. So you would have at least one professor in common when you get there.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's fantastic. We're joined here by class of 2024 quarterback commit Judd Anderson, verbally committed to the University of Miami. Anything else you'd like to tell Miami's fans? Because they're all watching this and listening to this. Just let them know anything else you want them to know about you and what they should expect to see from you on the field.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to recruit hard. First of all, I'm going to try to get as many talented players to the U, as many of those guys I can. And also, my play style is definitely going to be special, and I think it's going to be an awesome time for the next 3 to 4 years up there. And I think those fans are awesome. First of all, I mean, they do a ton just to support me, and I mean, just going through social media, I kind of just see that love and that support and everything they do. It's amazing, and that Miami's fan base is amazing. So I'm just blessed to be here.
Well, we're blessed to have you, Judd Anderson. Thank you so much for taking the time. Keep studying hard, man, and hopefully you get into all those sports administration classes you want in 2024.
Yes, sir.
All right, great stuff as always. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure to hit the thumbs up button on YouTube, subscribe to our show, and if you're listening to the audio version, make sure to leave us a 5-star review. We'll talk to you again next time on another episode of Locked On Canes, part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.